friends, lots to talk about today. I know you're enjoying the show so far, but important to take time out for a little reminder about Free Speech TV and how we depend on you. And you are so important. And I'm so proud to be part of this great Free Speech TV network because, look, this has been a big cause of mine for a long time. And that is how tough it is to find good, progressive opinion and commentary in this country anymore because the media is so lopsided to the right. I mean, if you look at talk radio, for example, there are about 2,000 news talk stations in the country. Maybe only 50 or 60 of them are progressive talk radio stations, and that's probably being, like generous. And on television, what do you got? You got Fox News far to the right. You got the corporate media, CBS and NBC and ABC. Even MSNBC is not progressive 24/7, as we know. There's only one 24/7 progressive television network you can count on, and that is Free Speech TV. But we're only there because of you, and we wouldn't be there without your help. And this is a time of the year that we turn to you again and ask for your help to keep free speech on the air and to keep your favorite progressives out there with you every single day. We ask you to be as generous as you can in making a pledge to Free Speech TV. And here's something you ought to consider. If you can give us $120, make that kind of a pledge to Free Speech TV. That's $10 a month. You'll get a Bill Press Show mug and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop in the world. It's right downstairs in our building. If you can pledge $240 or $20 a month from Cowgirl Creamery in California, take it from me, the best cheese in the world, better than France or Switzerland. Cowgirl Creamery, it's great. For $360 or $30 a month for that kind of a pledge, we'll send you another treat from Cowgirl Creamery, plus a Bill Press Show mug. And if there's any way you can pledge $1,000, a very special treat for you. You make your way to Washington, and I will take you and a friend out to dinner and then invite you into the studio here to watch the show the next morning. That would be a lot of fun. Hope you can take advantage of it. But however you can help, if it's $120, $240, or $360, or the big one for $1,000, we ask you just to dig in, be as generous as you can. It's so important to keep our progressive voices on the air, to keep Free Speech TV on the air. And there's one independent television channel that has no corporate money, no government money. All of our money comes from our viewers. We work only for you. We're happy to do so, but we also depend on your help. Please be as generous as you can. Thank you.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
In 1920s America, the Great Depression effectively erased consumer demand. Struggling manufacturers needed new ways to get people buying again. Innovative production processes like stamping and use of molds allowed them to use new materials for their designs. Products using vinyl, chrome, aluminium and plywood began appearing. American industrial designers began introducing streamlined, efficient shapes that shouted progress. Bel Geddes pioneered what we now refer to as utilitarian art. Things that had little reason to look sleek now all of a sudden did. At the 1939 World Fair featuring Bel Geddes' immensely popular Futurama exhibit, a new era of American industrial design proudly claimed to be building the world of tomorrow. Americans found great positivity in these futuristic forms. Yay. Things were looking up. American industrial designers realised that by making objects look great, people simply wanted them more. From cars to kitchen appliances, the most influential society on earth was spending money again. Mass consumption had arrived. Advertisers finally had lots to talk about. Personal taste could be expressed through the things you bought. Style became equally as important as function. Chair designers like Eames and Saarinen didn't just design seating, they created desirable lifestyles. People behind the products suddenly were stars. Everyone wanted to know who they were. Raymond Loewy was one of the shining lights of American industrial design. His face ended up on every coffee table in the nation. Toothpaste packaging promised whiter teeth. Washing powder packaging promised whiter whites. Who knew such simple household objects would shape the tastes and ambitions of an entire society? American industrial design improved America, functionally, culturally and intellectually, and exported it around the globe.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Good morning. It is the Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn. I'm sitting in for Bill Press today on this Wednesday, March 12. Bill will be back tomorrow. I have been told that it was just a mere moments ago Bill landed at Dulles Airport.
Oh, he's happily
back from the left coast. He is having seen Bill fly a couple of times. I know he is in no shape to come and host the show. Gray Goose, he drinks the whole flight back.
I thought it was Bombay Sapphire.
No, it's a long flight. Well, but, with Bill, it's whatever he can get his hands on. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Wednesday, it's hump day, and boy, am I tired. 7 minutes past the hour. God, we have a big show coming up today. So much stuff jam-packed. I don't know how we're going to fit it all into all 3 hours, but so much news going on. So many good guests that are going to be joining us. If you are listening to the show, thank you so very much. I imagine you're listening on one of our favorite progressive radio stations all around the country. If you don't have one in your neighborhood, you can always listen to us on the iHeartRadio app on your smartphone or on the TuneIn app, using the Progressive Voices channel. I highly encourage you to use either or both. Hell, turn them both on. Let them duel it out. That's what I say. Check that out if you want to stream audio of the program. You want to watch the show, it's easy to. We're on YouTube. Just go to at BP Show. We've got the link there. That's where we're tweeting, at BP Show. We've tweeted out the link. You can find it there. Hey, we should also put that up on Facebook, by the way. At least
sure, definitely.
Do that. I am tweeting at Peter Ogburn. I also have the link there, along with some of the stories we're going to be talking about. I'm keeping an eye on that today. I just mentioned Elisa. That is Elisa Murphy running the board today. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Thank you for coming in. Everything all right? Everything going well?
Yeah, things are great.
Holding
it's
down
like
the fort in there?
Yeah, yep. It's like summer outside.
Let me tell you something about the weather.
Nice.
Let me tell you something about the weather. It's supposed to be like 65 today, and then tomorrow, like 35.
I know you can't trust. It's very deceiving.
That's garbage weather. That's toilet weather, as far as I'm concerned. Like, who wants to go like a 30-degree swing in like 12 hours?
It's a total tease. It really is.
Stupid. That's what it is. And I'm not one to bitch about the weather and the snow. Like,
No.
I like the cold. I like the snow. No. I mean, look, I like everybody's going, another snowstorm. What am I going to do with the snowstorm? I don't mind the snowstorms. It's winter. I'm fine with the snowstorms. But don't give me 70 one day and then 35 the next. Mother
Nature is bipolar.
The bipolar vortex.
Yes.
That's what I say. If you call our number, 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377, you will talk to Alicia Cruz, who is here screening your phone calls, among many other things. And if you are watching us on that YouTube link or on Free Speech TV, you are watching it because of the good work of Cyprian Bolding, keeping us on air, doing what he can to make us look good. Thank you, Cyprian. Glad you are running the board for that. Hey, by the way, Elisa, I'm going to call a little bit of an audible because I want to play that clip of David Jolly, the first clip of David Jolly. So we talked yesterday a little bit about the special election down in Florida. It was Republican David Jolly versus Alex Sink, the Democrat. It was not close. It was not close. The Republican, David Jolly, won handily. So that's District 13 in Florida. Here's David Jolly after the fact talking about the big win.
The challenges we face as a country are difficult. The issues are hard. Where we can work together and build consensus and build common ground, we have to do that.
And then play that second clip of David Jolly, because he's goes on about what this win means.
Let me tell you this: we must never sacrifice our Creator's sacred gift of liberty to us at the altar of big government.
No, wait.
And we are not going to let that happen.
What?
That's some
I mean, he just got all. I mean, he went revival on you there.
scriptural.
Yeah. I mean, okay. All right. Yesterday, well, so anyway, whatever. Congratulations, David Jolly. Everyone's going to write their dumb think pieces today about what this means for Obamacare, what this means for Democrats later on in the year. It doesn't mean anything. It was a Republican district. I know that the Republican, the incumbent wasn't running, but it wasn't a referendum on Obamacare. We already had that election. That was the presidential election. Remember that? How did that turn out? So we'll see what happens. All you can say is congratulations to the new Congressman, David Jolly. Welcome to Washington. Yesterday, we were also talking about Between Two Ferns on Funny or Die, the web series in which Zach Galifianakis interviews celebrities in a very awkward manner. He had President Barack Obama on yesterday. We played a lot of the clips from it. Can we play that one clip about the about Michelle?
Yeah,
play
here
that
it
one.
is.
This is that one clip. This gives you an idea of how awkward it is.
You said if you had a son, you would not let him play football. What makes you think that he would want to play football? What if he was a nerd like you?
Do you think a woman like Michelle would marry a nerd? Why don't you ask her whether she thinks I'm a nerd?
Could I?
No, I'm not going to let her near you.
I have to say, and I used to mention this yesterday, that could have been a total disaster.
Yeah.
But the president did very well. And it was interesting to find out that not only did the president ad-lib some of his lines, but that it actually drove a lot of traffic to healthcare.gov. That was the whole point. He even wedged in a plug, and it went. It drove a lot of people to healthcare.gov, which was, again, it's the whole reason he did it. As of now, by the way, I'd say the average viral hit, like if you have a bona fide viral hit, you're looking at like what, 5 or 6 million views on the internets. Like I think if you've done that, you've really done something. As of this morning, we are at 11.1 million views.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really
from,
steep.
From Funny or Die.
Oh, wow.
So people are watching. People are watching it. We'll play some more clips of that later on and all throughout the show. But there is some serious news to get into. This is a story that, look, I know people get on Bill's case a lot about the spying stuff and the Edward Snowden stuff, and Bill is a big fan of Edward Snowden. And he talks about the good work that he's done, which I agree. I think that Edward Snowden has done a lot of good work. He's shown just how far-reaching the government can be. Yesterday, it turns out that the CIA may have broken the law because they were spying on Senate staff. Now, that has not been confirmed, but Dianne Feinstein, the senator from California, all but confirmed it when she said this on the Senate floor.
Besides the constitutional implication, the CIA's search may also have violated the Fourth Amendment, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, as well as Executive Order 12333, which prohibits the CIA from conducting domestic searches or surveillance.
What are we doing here? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? The CIA, so you see, you have the Senate, basically what you have here is you have the Senate Intelligence Committee, which is taking a look at things like the CIA and oversight and looking at what they're doing and making sure that what they're doing is okay. And while they don't know all of the details, they are sort of playing the role of watchdog, if you will. And the CIA may have been spying on that group of people, spying on the Senate Intelligence Committee, taking a look at their computers, seeing what's on it. Dianne Feinstein goes on.
I have asked for an apology and a recognition that this CIA search of computers used by its oversight committee was inappropriate. I have received neither.
Oh, good. Oh, good. At least they're being responsive about it. Look, it's called checks and balances, right? You have the Senate here to keep an eye out and to watch out for the activities of some of the actions of the administration, of the CIA, of the NSA, and if they know what they're up to, then that eliminates the whole checks and balances thing. Why would we do that? I mean, I know why from the CIA standpoint, why they would want to do that, but you have to realize that this is not the way that it should be working. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number. 866-557-7377. Really want to hear what you say about this. Look, I know it's the Obama administration, and the Obama administration can do nothing wrong, right? I think that this is out of line. And I think that if this is the case, and the CIA was spying on Senate staffers, then heads should roll. Senator Harry Reid, he weighed in on this. He is not happy about it either.
I'm disappointed that the CIA is apparently unrepentant for what I understand they did.
That's the other thing, is they just do it, and then it's just kind of like, well, maybe we did, maybe we didn't. We're not going to talk about that. It's matters of national security, and we can't tell you what we're up to, and yada, yada, yada. It's the same yank that you always get. So Dianne Feinstein, Harry Reid, and, of course, that other great liberal from the state of South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. Oh, wait. No, that is actually Lindsey Graham. Yes, Lindsey Graham siding with Dianne Feinstein and Harry Reid yesterday.
If it's true, it is chilling. It is a constitutional violation of separation of powers. Heads should roll at the CIA.
866-55-PRESS is our phone number, 866-557-7377. I agree. Head should roll. It is chilling. Head should roll. I love that Lindsey Graham accent, by the way. I never get enough of it. Look, I agree. I stand with Graham. I stand with Lindsey Graham. Take a look at what the CIA is doing. If this is what they were doing, that is an outrage. That is an outrage. And the CIA, they knew about it. Dianne Feinstein said yesterday that the CIA knew every step of the Intelligence Committee knew every step that the Intelligence Committee staffers took, and that the CIA provided all the documents that the agency later questioned. So they're watching the Senate Intelligence Committee. They're looking into the computers of members of the Senate, of their staffers. Not okay. 866-55-PRESS. Now here, I think, is where you can tell that maybe they're in a little bit of trouble. Maybe they realize that, oops, we done goofed. John Brennan, head of the CIA, says the truth will come out.
When the facts come out on this, I think a lot of people who are claiming that there has been this tremendous sort of spying and monitoring and hacking will be proved wrong.
Now, listen to this next clip very carefully, right? Because Dianne Feinstein has said, this is what happened. This is how the law was broken. I've asked for an apology. I'm not getting it. Like, She put it all out there on the table, man. If she's wrong, she's going to have egg on her face. And yet John Brennan, listen very carefully to this clip. Go ahead.
If I did something wrong, I will go to the president and I will explain to him exactly what I did and what the findings were.
All right, hey, stop the clip for a second. Stop the clip for a second. When you start out a sentence saying, "Oh, if I did something wrong," dude, it's you. What do you mean? If I did something wrong, it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, if I did something really unethical and maybe against the law, you did it. Go ahead, play that clip again.
If I did something wrong, I will go to the president and I will explain to him exactly what I did and what the findings were. And he is the one who can ask me to stay or to go.
Yeah, heaven forbid you do the right thing. Heaven forbid you say, "Oh, whoops, my bad. Maybe I didn't authorize it, but it certainly happened on my watch." 866-55-PRESS. 866-557-7377. I want to hear from you. Number one, are you okay that the CIA is spying on members of the Senate Intelligence Committee? I'm not. Are you okay with that? 866-55-PRESS. Tell me why I'm wrong. And what should happen? If this is the case, should John Brennan resign, be kicked to the curb? Should his head roll, as Lindsey Graham said? 866-557-7377. 866-55-PRESS. That is our phone number. Would love to hear from you. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill today. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help because we wouldn't be here without you. You know, it's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, "Man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it?" You know, well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start at the end of every show. The first thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out and all day long, you know, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and say and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So, you know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month. We will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month. From Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery. For $360 or $30 a month, you'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those who are able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you.
you wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
.gov/.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show, 26 minutes past the hour. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill Press today, Wednesday, March 12. Talking about the CIA, the allegation made by Dianne Feinstein, senator from California, that the CIA is spying on senators and the Senate Intelligence Committee and Senate staffers, which she says is not okay and expects an apology, and I don't blame her. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number. 866-557-7377. Shout out to Wayne in Chicago, Illinois, listening on WCPT. Wayne, good morning.
Good morning, man. You're doing a fabulous job.
Oh,
Just
thanks,
fabulous.
Wayne. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for calling. It's only good because of people like you who call in and help me.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to make a brief comment. Senator Feinstein is upset because she realizes that the spying is being done on her and her colleagues. But it's just like Eric Snowden said yesterday. She had no problem with them spying on the American people. So ask for an apology for spying on the American people while you're asking for an apology for the Senate.
I don't disagree with that, Wayne. I think that there are a lot of senators who have been a little hypocritical about this. Although I will look, you and I are on the same team here, okay, on that point, right? I agree with you. However, I will say that the allegation that the CIA is spying on a Senate Intelligence Committee, I think is a little more dangerous than spying on American citizens. It's a little more concerning for me anyway. Only because if you look at the consequences of looking at the Senate Intelligence Committee, I mean, that is the community that is in charge of keeping your butt in check if you're the CIA. So that would be like me spying on my boss, essentially. Ask my boss how he would feel about that. Not okay. But yeah, great call, Wayne. I want to hear more calls. 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. My name is Peter Ogburn.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, lots to talk about today. I know you're enjoying the show so far, but important to take time out for a little reminder about Free Speech TV and how we depend on you. And you are so important. And I'm so proud to be part of this great Free Speech TV network because, look, this has been a big cause of mine for a long time. And that is how tough it is to find good, progressive opinion and commentary in this country anymore because the media is so lopsided to the right. I mean, if you look at talk radio, for example, there are about 2,000 news talk stations in the country. Maybe only 50 or 60 of them are progressive talk radio stations, and that's probably being, like generous. And on television, what do you got? You got Fox News far to the right. You got the corporate media, CBS and NBC and ABC. Even MSNBC is not progressive 24/7, as we know. There's only one 24/7 progressive television network you can count on, and that is Free Speech TV. But we're only there because of you, and we wouldn't be there without your help. And this is a time of the year that we turn to you again and ask for your help to keep free speech on the air and to keep your favorite progressives out there with you every single day. We ask you to be as generous as you can in making a pledge to Free Speech TV. And here's something you ought to consider. If you can give us $120, make that kind of a pledge for Free Speech TV. That's $10 a month. You'll get a Bill Press Show mug and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop in the world. It's right downstairs in our building. If you can pledge $240 or $20 a month from Cowgirl Creamery in California, take it from me, the best cheese in the world, better than France or Switzerland. Cowgirl Creamery, it's great. For $360 or $30 a month for that kind of a pledge, we'll send you another treat from Cowgirl Creamery, plus a Bill Press Show mug. And if there's any way you can pledge $1,000, a very special treat for you. You make your way to Washington, and I will take you and a friend out to dinner and then invite you into the studio here to watch the show the next morning. That would be a lot of fun. Hope you can take advantage of it. But however you can help, if it's $120, $240, or $360, or the big one for $1,000, we ask you just to dig in, be as generous as you can. It's so important to keep our progressive voices on the air, to keep Free Speech TV on the air. And there's one independent television channel that has no corporate money, no government money. All of our money comes from our viewers. We work only for you. We're happy to do so, but we also depend on your help. Please be as generous as you can. Thank you.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is The Bill Press Show, 33 minutes past the hour. My name is Peter Ogburn, in for Bill Press today, tweeting at Peter Ogburn, at Peter Ogburn. The show continues to tweet at BP Show. Make sure you're following us there. On the CIA situation, DW1776, one of our early morning tweeters, weighs in, says, what clued me in was when Brenner said, quote, I will tell Barack Obama what I did, or tell the president, I will tell the president what I did and what I found. So he did find something.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's pretty telling.
President was on the road yesterday, as we mentioned. He was in New York. By the way, we're taking your calls on the CIA situation. The CIA, it is alleged, spied on the Senate Intelligence Committee while they were being probed. Dianne Feinstein was the one publicly leveling that allegation yesterday. So we mentioned the president was going to be in New York yesterday, so he went to New York City, and he did a little shopping for his wife and daughters. He went to the Gap. Now, I understand that, you know, the Gap did a good thing. They raised minimum wage across the board for their workers, right? You go to New York City, you're gonna get a souvenir for your family. You gonna go to the Gap?
That's true.
Like I went out to I was out in Los Angeles like 2 weeks ago. That would be like me going and getting a souvenir for my wife at Target. Like, why would you do that? You can go to the Gap anywhere. You go to any mall in America, you got a Gap. So that's his big souvenir. I don't know. Bring back some cheesecake or something. I don't know.
I mean, if it was San Francisco, at least the Gap started in San Francisco, so that makes sense.
I could see that. I understand he went there for the optics of, they raised the minimum wage. They should be rewarded. Oh, you could do that at home. Go somewhere. Go somewhere in New York. If you're going to get a souvenir. That's all I'm saying. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number. Did the CIA overreach when they allegedly spied on the Senate Intelligence Committee and their staffers while they were being probed? Dianne Feinstein goes so far as to say they may have even broken the law. Let's play that first Dianne Feinstein clip again, Elisa, because the issue here is that the Senate Intelligence Committee exists to keep the intelligence community in check and to make sure that what they're doing are within the bounds of legality and that they're being ethical and they're being legal. And Dianne Feinstein yesterday said this.
Besides the constitutional implication, the CIA's search may also have violated the Fourth Amendment, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, as well as Executive Order 12333. Which prohibits the CIA from conducting domestic searches or surveillance.
We have one line open right now at 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377, and that is the number that Stephen from Aurora, Illinois, called. Stephen, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Last night on MSNBC, they had the guy that co-wrote the law that Feinstein is talking about the CIA surveillance. And he came out flatly said the CIA has the right to sanitize the reports. So that he didn't say they did it remotely, but you can connect the dots from what he said that, yes, the CIA was able to access the Congress's computers. And I say more power to them because after all these years, everybody that was so mad at Obama for him and all of them just keep reauthorizing the Patriot Act, this is the only way they're going to put the clamps on the CIA, especially when the light with Edward Snowden on how bad the CIA is abusing their powers.
What do you mean? Your phone broke up there a little bit. I just want to clarify what you're saying when you said more power to him. More power to who exactly?
To the CIA. I mean, to the CIA spying. So finally now that the Congress is going to put the brakes on the CIA on its spying, after what happened with Edward Snowden, we didn't know how bad they were spying on us. And now that the CIA, the Congress was spied on, maybe now they'll finally...
Oh, I see. Yeah, absolutely. Look, echoing what Wayne, our earlier caller said, we know that we've been being spied on now. I mean, Edward Snowden has let that cat out of the bag. There ain't no going back. We can tighten up the regulations and have a more effective, open dialogue about the spying program in this country. But we were spied on. We had our data collected. That's just all there is to it. And yeah, there were a handful of congresspeople who weighed in and talked about how wrong that was. And good for them. But I think that now that Congress is the one being watched, Congress is the one being spied on, it might get a little more attention. Yes. That might be screwed up, but that's just how it goes. But if you've got a Senate Intelligence Committee and the CIA is peeking in on their computers to find out what they're probing, trying to game the system, that's something that I think everybody is a little can agree is not okay with. It's not okay with. Let's play that Jay Carney clip, by the way, Elisa, because he was asked about this yesterday. John Brennan has been under fire. And the White House was asked about it at yesterday's White House press briefing. Jay Carney, so far anyway, up to this point, is standing by his man.
The President has great confidence in John Brennan and confidence in our intelligence community and in our professionals at the CIA.
So, for now, they're staying with them. Okay. That's fine. I think that's I think that's probably what they need to be doing right now, the White House. But if this is the case, I think heads should roll, as Lindsey Graham said. And look, I don't want to beat up on the president too much. I just gave him a lot of grief about the whole gap thing, right? But I do think that when you're the president, if you've got a guy like John Brennan who's making these decisions or authorizing this kind of action to look into the Senate Intelligence Committee, you have to make the tough decision and say, you know what? That's not okay. I mean, the president should be worried about his own butt in this case, right? Like, do you think, I don't know that progressives and Republicans will embrace this idea of spying on the group that's been put into place to make sure that you're acting legally, ethically, etc. Right? I think the president may have gotten a pass from some Republicans on the NSA spying program because it's something that George Bush did, and it's been going on for a long time, so they would certainly look a little too hypocritical on that front. But this is one I think we can all agree is a little too far. Let's go to Jake in Columbus, Ohio. Jake called 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. Good morning, Jake.
Hi, Peter.
How you doing?
Oh, we're doing okay there. Like I was telling the screener there, I was wondering what your thoughts are on cell phone manufacturers now closing back doors and loopholes in the cell phones there and increasing their security to stop a lot of this nonsense.
I think that's probably a smart thing to do. I think that's something that cell phone manufacturers had to take a look at. I think that the consumer these days is increasingly aware of the fact that your electronic devices can be used to spy on you. You know, your computer can be off, and if you have a webcam on it, which mine does right here, you know, that can be activated remotely, and it can be turned on without you ever having your computer on. Now, to me, that seems a little messed up. But I think consumers are now aware of it. They are willing to give their money and take their dollars to someone who will go the extra mile to protect them. You know what I'm talking about? Let's go to Eldwin in Edgefield, South Carolina. Eldwin, how you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Good. Thanks for calling in. What's your take?
I think that if you work for the government, there's nothing wrong with spying if you're not doing anything wrong. And Edward Snowden, I think he's a traitor.
Eldwin, so are you okay with the fact that the government is not only spying on you,
right,
but spying on the group that's been put into place to keep them in check, the Senate Intelligence Committee?
Yes, I think everybody needs to be watched because if you're not doing anything wrong, why should you be afraid?
That is the most tired argument, man.
No,
I've heard that over and over and over again, and that is so tired. Let me ask you a question. So you are, I take it, you are a progressive. You're a Democrat.
That's right.
Okay. Now, let's just say that Rand Paul becomes president. Even worse. Let's just say Ted Cruz becomes president.
It'll be awful.
It would be a nightmare. But let's just say Ted Cruz is president in another couple of years, right? And he is looking at your cell phone records, who you're calling, what you're saying. We have a group of strong Democrats on the Senate Intelligence Committee, and Ted Cruz is spying on their computers, knowing what he's going to ask them about. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think, for intelligence purpose, in terms of the kind of technology we have today, I believe that with the kind of terrorism going on, that they need this kind of spying. But to look at
on the Senate Intelligence Committee, what is it? The Senate Intelligence Committee is made up of terrorists now. All of a sudden, they are put into place to keep the CIA in check. And why would the CIA need to look at that? That would be the equivalent of someone on trial spying on the jury. That's my point. Yeah, we're gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of that. Eldwin, I appreciate the call, dude. I mean, I'd keep talking to you, but we're out of time. We're gonna go up to a break. We have David Jackson coming up next. But if you're on trial, and I'm not saying the CIA is on trial, but if you were on trial for a criminal offense and you were caught spying on the jury, yeah, that would be bad. That would be bad. And that's essentially what's going on here if Dianne Feinstein's allegations are true. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number. We got to go to a break. God, how did I go over so far on time, Elisa? I'm a producer. I should know better. It's the Bill Press Show. David Jackson coming up next.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help because we wouldn't be here without you. You know, it's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it? You know, well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start at the end of every show. The first thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out and all day long, you know, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So, you know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month. We will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month from Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery for $360 or $30 a month. You'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those who are able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks to all of our callers who called 866-55-PRESS. A lot of good calls there on the CIA and the allegations that they may have broken the law by spying on the Senate Intelligence Committee. More calls on that coming up, but it is Wednesday. And as we like to check in every Wednesday around this time, it's our good friend David Jackson, White House correspondent for USA Today. David, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Peter.
Thank you so much for joining us, especially with the B team here with Bill.
Oh, no way, man. 1 and 1A, come on.
Hey, have you seen? So I take it by now you've seen the Between Two Ferns video that the president did yesterday.
It came out 7:30. It came out almost 24 hours ago.
Yeah, and since then it's over 11 million views right now.
Yeah.
Tell me what the White House had to say about this yesterday, because I thought that the information that they shared about how many how it drove traffic to healthcare.gov worked out.
They were pleased with it. It was throughout the day. It was the largest driver to the healthcare website. Although there were, last I checked, when I left last night, there were like they claimed over 20,000 signups. So now you got the dispute where, well, the critics say 20,000 is nothing compared to the millions of people who viewed it, but the White House thinks that was a pretty good take. So, pretty good for a day's work. So, and there's probably been more signups since then overnight and stuff. But the White House feels like it was a big success.
Considering that this is a totally different and new audience, to put it lightly, for the president. Yeah, I mean, the fact that it drove traffic that highly all day, I think is a win for the White House. So, what's the president up to today, David? I know the Ukrainian prime minister is in town.
Yes, very much so, and it's a big meeting. It was kind of called at the last minute. Prime minister from Ukraine is flying in. I guess he flew in last night to meet with the president. Vice President Biden cut short his trip to, I think it was in Central America or Central or South America. He's coming back early for this meeting. It's pretty important. It's going to show the world that the United States is standing behind the new Ukraine government. It's ready to give them economic help and also ready to help them prepare for May elections. And I suspect the president will also want to argue against this referendum that's going to take place Sunday in Crimea.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, are the next steps in terms of our involvement in Crimea.
Everybody's going to wait and see how the vote comes out next week, and most people feel like the people in Crimea will vote to split away and join Russia, and that's going to create a whole new emphasis to the crisis, because then it'll be a succession crisis, and the United States is going to object to that, and it'll be very interesting to see how it all plays out.
The last night, the special election down in Florida, Republican David Jolly beating Democrat Alex Sink. Has the White House weighed in on that at all?
No, they haven't. No, they haven't. We couldn't find anybody last night. That's kind of when I knew what was going to happen. The exit polls weren't too good for the Democratic candidates, so I had a feeling that was the way it was going to come down. But no, they haven't said anything, and they probably won't until Carney's briefing today.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Speaking of Carney's briefing yesterday, he did signal that the White House still had confidence in John Brennan, despite the allegation. We've been talking about this all morning. The Dianne Feinstein's allegations that there was abuse of the law, if not a breaking of the law, by the CIA for spying on the Senate Intelligence Committee. That heat is only going to get intensified, I imagine.
Oh, God. Well, it's been going on for quite a while. I mean, what happened yesterday, this thing's been boiling for years, really, and finally came out on the Senate floor yesterday when Dianne Feinstein went public with her allegations. Because, the CIA also accuses the Senate of taking documents improperly from them. So the Justice Department's got a whole big mess it's got to look through. So it's been a fierce dispute behind the scenes for many, many months. Now it's public, and the White House keeps trying to distance itself from it, but I don't think they're going to be able to do that for much longer.
2 kids in the sandbox is one thing, but when the two kids are the CIA and the United States Senate, boy, oh boy.
It's ugly. It's ugly, and it's probably going to get uglier because, from what I understand, the Senate report is very critical of the CIA in terms of this interrogation detention program. They're critical of the program, and they also say the CIA misled members of Congress and the executive branch. The CIA vigorously disputes a lot of that, particularly the latter point. So once this report becomes public, it's only going to intensify.
All right. We'll keep an eye on it. All right, David Jackson, White House correspondent for USA Today. Follow him on Twitter at DJUSA Today and read his good work at usatoday.com. Thanks, David. I appreciate it, bud.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it.
Talk to you next week. All right. Peter Ogburn in for Bill Press. Need to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help, because we wouldn't be here without you. It's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it? Well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start at the end of every show. The first thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out and all day long, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month. We will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month. From Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery for $360 or $30 a month. You'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those of you able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill Press today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Look, someone was giving me some grief on Twitter about the fact that the president went to the Gap. I mean, I'm just saying, if you're going to go to New York City and you're going to do some shopping for your wife and kids, get something better. Go somewhere better than the Gap. Get something that's unique to New York. Unique New York.
It's true. I mean, New York has a lot of unique things to offer.
Although I do like that there's a picture of him holding up this V-neck pink sweater he was looking at for his daughter. And he said, "I'm not going to buy this. I'm afraid it's going to slip off of her shoulders." Which giving me the 9 millionth reason that I'm so glad I didn't have daughters. Having to worry about that kind of crap. All right, Peter Ogburn in for Bill Press. Big hour coming up next. The Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, lots to talk about today. I know you're enjoying the show so far, but important to take time out for a little reminder about Free Speech TV and how we depend on you. And you are so important. And I'm so proud to be part of this great Free Speech TV network because, look, this has been a big cause of mine for a long time. And that is how tough it is to find good progressive opinion and commentary in this country anymore because the media is so lopsided to the right. I mean, if you look at talk radio, for example, there are about 2,000 news talk stations in the country. Maybe only 50 or 60 of them are progressive talk radio stations, and that's probably being, generous. And on television, what do you got? You got Fox News far to the right. You got the corporate media, CBS and NBC and ABC. Even MSNBC is not progressive 24/7. As we know, there's only one 24/7 progressive television network you can count on, and that is Free Speech TV. But we're only there because of you, and we wouldn't be there without your help. And this is a time of the year that we turn to you again and ask for your help to keep free speech on the air and to keep your favorite progressives out there with you every single day. We ask you to be as generous as you can in making a pledge to Free Speech TV. And here's something you ought to consider. If you can give us $120, make that kind of a pledge to Free Speech TV. That's $10 a month. You'll get a Bill Press Show mug and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop in the world. It's right downstairs in our building. If you can pledge $240 or $20 a month from Cowgirl Creamery in California, take it from me, the best cheese in the world, better than France or Switzerland. Cowgirl Creamery, it's great. For $360 or $30 a month for that kind of a pledge, we'll send you another treat from Cowgirl Creamery, plus a Bill Press Show mug. And if there's any way you can pledge $1,000, a very special treat for you, you make your way to Washington, and I will take you and a friend out to dinner and then invite you into the studio here to watch the show the next morning. That would be a lot of fun. Hope you can take advantage of it. But however you can help, if it's $120, $240, or $360, or the big one for $1,000, we ask you just to dig in, be as generous as you can. It's so important to keep our progressive voices on the air, to keep Free Speech TV on the air. And this one independent television channel that has no corporate money, no government money. All of our money comes from our viewers. We work only for you. We're happy to do so, but we also depend on your help. Please be as generous as you can. Thank you.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
In 1920s America, the Great Depression effectively erased consumer demand. Struggling manufacturers needed new ways to get people buying again. Innovative production processes like stamping and use of molds allowed them to use new materials for their designs. Products using vinyl, chrome, aluminium and plywood began appearing. American industrial designers began introducing streamlined, efficient shapes that shouted progress. Bel Geddes pioneered what we now refer to as utilitarian art. Things that had little reason to look sleek, now all of a sudden did. At the 1939 World Fair featuring Bel Geddes' immensely popular Futurama exhibit, a new era of American industrial design proudly claimed to be building the world of tomorrow. Americans found great positivity in these futuristic forms. Yay. Things were looking up. American industrial designers realised that by making objects look great, people simply wanted them more. From cars to kitchen appliances, the most influential society on earth was spending money again. Mass consumption had arrived. Advertisers finally had lots to talk about. Personal taste could be expressed through the things you bought. Style became equally as important as function. Chair designers like Eames and Saarinen didn't just design seating, they created desirable lifestyles. People behind the products suddenly were stars. Everyone wanted to know who they were. Raymond Loewy was one of the shining lights of American industrial design. His face ended up on every coffee table in the nation. Toothpaste packaging promised whiter teeth. Washing powder packaging promised whiter whites. Who knew such simple household objects would shape the tastes and ambitions of an entire society? American industrial design improved America, functionally, culturally and intellectually, and exported it around the globe.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Yes, it is the Bill Press Show, live on your radio, on your favorite radio station, all around the country. You can also hear us on the TuneIn app on your smartphone or on the iHeartRadio app on your smartphone or tablet or whichever method you choose to listen to us. I'm just glad you're there. You want to watch the show? You can do that too. We are on Free Speech TV and streaming live video on YouTube. Want that link? Follow us on Twitter at BP Show, at BP Show. I'm tweeting that out right now, by the way. So thank you all so much for tuning in. By the way, I just looked outside. When I become supreme ruler of the world, I'm getting rid of daylight saving time.
Wait, you're not already? I thought you were already.
Well, I mean, in my mind, of course. But it's 7 o'clock, pitch black outside.
I know, it's not right at all.
And then you got the whole waking up early thing. It's driving me nuts. Although, if I was supreme ruler of the world, I would probably be able to watch Game of Thrones early. That's what happened to the president. The president wanted to watch the new season of Game of Thrones early, and you know what? Boom. He gets it.
I know. Personal delivery, too.
That's pretty great. Like, I remember when he was going out a couple weeks ago, when he went out to the West Coast, he was saying, I want to watch Game of Thrones. I want to watch a True Detective. He's the president. Boom. He gets it.
It's one of those things you don't really consider when maybe considering being president, how many previews you can really see.
I mean, there is the whole crushing weight of carrying all Americans on your shoulder, always there behind you like creeping death. But
that kind of pales when you can get HBO early.
You also get to watch Game of Thrones like a month or 2 months earlier than anybody else. I'll call that a win. I have to play this clip of the 911 call, by the way. At least I didn't mention this ahead of time. This is such a great story. So this family, it's this couple, and they have a young kid. And their cat, they have this cat, this like 22-pound cat. So their 7-month-old kid pulls on the cat's tail, as a 7-month-old does. And the cat wigs out, man. The cat goes nuts. So the cat's like just turns into a tornado of fur and claws and is just like mad at everybody. So the family retreats to the bedroom, closes the door and locks it, and they do what any sensible person would do. Yeah, they call 911. Here's the 911 call of a family terrified by their cat.
He's charging us. He's at our door, bedroom door.
One moment, okay?
You hear him?
Can you keep your door?
That's the cat?
Yeah, I hear him. Hold on. Keep your door shut, okay?
Back it up. Can you back it up? I want to hear that cat. I just want to hear the cat scream.
One moment, okay?
You hear him?
Listen to that cat.
One moment, okay?
Now, I don't want to make light of their situation. I'm sure it's very serious enough that they felt like they had to call the authorities over a house cat. But I don't know, man.
Well, it's a Himalayan house cat, right?
Yeah, but what is that? I mean, what does that mean? That's not.
It's a little scary when you think about a Himalayan cat for some reason. 22 pounds.
What are you doing? What's the cat's name? Cujo? Cujo the cat. Cujo the cat. I don't know. I mean, I have a cat. I've had a cat for. I've never had a cat wig out like that, though.
Never like that. That's insane.
I'd like to think that there are better options than, than kicking the cat and then having it back you into a corner and you call 911. All right. Well, look, yesterday, this is a story that's been simmering for a while now. It's essentially the CIA versus the Senate. Dianne Feinstein, senator from California, sort of blew the lid off the story yesterday. Can we play that first Dianne Feinstein clip again? Just to set it up. Yesterday, this is what she had to say about the fact that, or the allegation, that the CIA was spying on the computers of the Senate Intelligence Committee.
Besides the constitutional implication, the CIA's search may also have violated the Fourth Amendment, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, as well as Executive Order 12333, which prohibits the CIA from conducting domestic searches or surveillance.
We've been talking about this story for a good chunk of the morning. I've been leaning heavily on the piece right here in my hot little hands, written for the Huffington Post by Michael McAuliff. He is their senior congressional correspondent, and he joins us right now on the phone from the Huffington Post. Michael, good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, good morning, and thanks for going on a campaign against daylight savings time.
Right?
Daylight losing time.
I know. I mean, it's killing me. It's killing me. You can follow him on Twitter at McAuliff. That's MMCAULIFF. No E on that. And read his good work at the HuffingtonPost.com. So, Michael, if you could sort of walk us up to what led us to yesterday, because this has been simmering and brewing for a little while now. What's been going on to lead up to yesterday?
Well, let's just back up just a little bit. This is the enhanced interrogation techniques, the extrajudicial renditions that went on immediately post 9/11. So there was an attempt by the Senate to dig into this, the Intelligence Committee, and it was moving very slowly. And then you finally got a Democratic president working with the Democratic Senate in 2009, and they came up with this great big deal to look over all the documentation about it. Now, of course, remember there was destroyed video material back then during the Bush administration, which really raised red flags for investigators looking into this. But anyway, they came up with this deal where the Senate staffers would go over to the CIA in a special room with Senate computers, where the CIA would clear all this data and give it to the staffers to look at. Something like 6 million documents they looked at, and then at some point, fairly recently, they noticed that some of the material had disappeared. And then the folks at the CIA were contradicting some of the findings in a 6,300-page report that the Senate Intelligence Committee was working on. But the Senate staffers had seen some of the same conclusions in a preliminary report drawn up by Leon Panetta when he was in charge of the CIA, and the CIA wasn't giving them access to the full report. So it was all very fishy, and then it erupted in the press, I guess about 7 days ago. I think it was a McClatchy story that reported that the CIA had gone into the Senate computers, which were supposed to be firewalled, and they're not the property of the CIA. So that's where the issue of the breaking of the law that Feinstein was talking about comes in. And then the CIA made some claims, I don't know who it was, that perhaps the Senate staffers hacked in. And that really seemed to anger Dianne Feinstein, and that led to about 5 days later to yesterday's rather remarkable floor speech.
Yeah, man. And it was amazing. It's kind of funny because my take on it, part of it anyway, is it's just essentially two kids in the sandbox sort of going back and forth. But when the two kids are the CIA and the United States Senate, it's going to get really ugly.
Oh yeah, and I mean a lot of the lawmakers weren't quite sure what to make of it. But we found Lindsey Graham. You know how like when there's votes going on, all the reporters swarm the lawmakers who like to talk. So Lindsey Graham had a huge crowd of people outside there, and he was saying, well, you know, if this is true, the legislative branch needs to go to war against the CIA.
Yeah.
So it's really quite heated.
Yeah. Heads should roll, as how he put it. Yeah. So you know, it's going to be interesting to see not only how the CIA responds. John Brennan came out yesterday and said, you know, the truth is going to come out, and all of that. But the White House sort of stood behind Brennan. But this is not over. It's not going to be over anytime soon, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think there'll be much greater pressure to release some version of that 6,300-page report, which I'm told is going to be extremely damning and alarming to people all around the world. So, I mean, there's negative impacts to releasing something like that to the United States, right? So
yeah.
That'll be interesting.
So I guess what's the next step in this? I mean, Dianne Feinstein certainly threw it out there, and the CIA had their chance to respond. Brennan said he's going to sort of take a look, and as he put it, which I always love when they say, if I did anything wrong, you know, then I'll report to the president. Yeah, I mean, he knows if he did wrong or not.
Right. It's more like saying, if anyone catches me doing something wrong,
right, yeah.
then I'll explain it to the president.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I read that when I heard that. That was a rather interesting way to put it. But I mean, you're at a really difficult position here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have fundamental constitutional questions about the executive branch versus the legislative branch. You know, Pat Leahy came to the Senate in 1974 or so, and his first vote was to create the Church Committee, which was in response to CIA abuses in the 70s, domestic spying and things like that. He said, we don't need a new Church Committee. We have the Intelligence Committee. They'll get to the bottom of it. That's not a universal opinion. Ron Wyden, who didn't call for a new committee, but nevertheless said this questions whether or not Congress can do proper oversight on the modern surveillance state. You know, so where exactly that goes, I'm not sure, because you have this divided government. You have a fairly, I wouldn't quite say nonpartisan, but there's a good mix of people on both sides of the issue in the Senate, which is where I think the action would have to start.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, my take on this is, for whatever reason, I think that the American people were upset, but they were accepting of the idea that the NSA was spying on us, right? Because now we know. I mean, a lot of us just sort of assumed that was going on, but to actually have the confirmation that, yeah, it's happening. But that I think they could hide behind or use the excuse that, like, look, we're doing this in an effort to keep Americans safe. We need to gather this information. Whereas this, I think the optics are, well, we are trying to cover our butts on something, and it looks to be like the optics look kind of like, all right, so you're on trial, you're being charged with something, and you're spying on the jury. Like, that seems a little more nefarious, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're spying on the overseers, right? Not only, I mean, if you want to put it in the most negative terms possible, not only are you spying on the American people, but you're spying on the people who are supposed to stop you from spying on the American people.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and there was some irony there. You know, I had some people sending nasty emails saying, "Well, sure, now Congress is upset that they're the ones getting spied on."
That was my next question. Those are the comments we're getting, or a couple of the comments we're getting this morning is, oh, Dianne Feinstein is such a hypocrite. You know, where was she before? And it's, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's basically a liberal from San Francisco, but she's been in this job for a very long time on the intelligence committee. You see a lot of really scary things. You know, they don't tell us what they are, but you can see legislators, lawmakers, people like President Obama who start off, you know, pretty liberal and progressive on such issues, and they get more and more in line with the intelligence state as they learn more. So, you know, it's hard to pan someone like that outright when you haven't seen the same things they've seen. But I do think there is some truth to it. There's a kernel there. However, when you're talking about spying on the overseers, it takes it to a whole new constitutional level, I think.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Michael McAuliff, senior congressional correspondent from the Huffington Post. Thanks so much for coming on with me today, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Hey, thanks, Bill.
Make sure you're following Michael on Twitter at McAuliff. That's MMCAULIFF. We just tweeted out his handle there, so make sure you go follow him there. Also read his good work and the work of many other fine reporters at HuffingtonPost.com. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill Press today. 20 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help because we wouldn't be here without you. It's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it? Well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start at the end of every show. The first thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out and all day long, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month. We will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month. From Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery. For $360 or $30 a month, you'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those who are able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
seen on Free Speech TV and online on Talker TV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Yes, indeed. It is the Bill Press Show, 25 minutes past the hour on this Wednesday, March 12th. It's hump day, and boy, am I tired. You got it. Taking your calls at 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. Talking about the CIA versus the United States Senate Intelligence Committee. DIFI, Senator Dianne Feinstein from California, very liberal senator, yesterday coming out and blasting the CIA, saying that they, at best, abused, at worst, broke some laws in terms of them spying on the computers of the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee staff and members of the Senate, which would be bad. That's my take. What's your take? 866-55-PRESS is our telephone number, 866-557-7377. I feel like I just went a little limbaugh there, the inflection of the 7377. My friends. Brad in Madison, Wisconsin, shout out. What's your comment?
Good morning, Peter. I'm a little taken aback that some of my favorite liberals, Dianne Feinstein, Barbara Boxer, and Peter Ogburn, are considering the CIA spying on their overseers as a bit more egregious than the NSA spying on the people. As I recall, the Republic was set up that the people are the overseers of Congress, and the congressional members don't seem to get that. I think Bernie Sanders does. He's one of the few voices that understand this, but I really think the NSA is every bit, if not more, egregious than the CIA spying on Congress. I think it's a little bit of poetic justice.
I've heard that a lot today, Brad, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. I really do. I'm not going to come down on you on that. But what I will say is, I know that the Congress and the CIA and the president and all members of the government are essentially here to work for us, you and I, the taxpayer. But we don't have the power to investigate and look into and oversee the types of problems that our elected officials do. We elect these officials to represent us, to enact laws, to oversee, to keep people in check. And I hear what you're saying. I know where you're coming from. However, I think that these members of Congress, for the purposes of what we're talking about here, are sort of up on a little bit of a higher pedestal because they are the ones who have been given the power to investigate the CIA, to keep them in check, to regulate them, and to oversee their actions. And the fact that the CIA thinks that they're so far above the law that they can spy on their judges, spy on their jury, I think that, to me, is a little more serious because it certainly looks like they might be trying to tamper with the oversight and keeping them in check. That's just my take, but I hear where you're coming from. Let us know. 866-55-PRESS. That's our phone number, 866-557-7377.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey friends, lots to talk about today. I know you're enjoying the show so far, but important to take time out for a little reminder about Free Speech TV and how we depend on you. And you are so important. And I'm so proud to be part of this great Free Speech TV network because, look, this has been a big cause of mine for a long time. And that is how tough it is to find good, progressive opinion and commentary in this country anymore because the media is so lopsided to the right. I mean, if you look at talk radio, for example, there are about 2,000 news talk stations in the country. Maybe only 50 or 60 of them are progressive talk radio stations, and that's probably being, like generous. And on television, what do you got? You got Fox News far to the right. You got the corporate media, CBS and NBC and ABC. Even MSNBC is not progressive 24/7 As we know, there's only one 24/7 progressive television network you can count on, and that is Free Speech TV. But we're only there because of you, and we wouldn't be there without your help. And this is a time of the year that we turn to you again and ask for your help to keep free speech on the air and to keep your favorite progressives out there with you every single day. We ask you to be as generous as you can in making a pledge to Free Speech TV. And here's something you ought to consider. If you can give us $120, make that kind of a pledge to Free Speech TV, that's $10 a month, you'll get a Bill Press Show mug and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop in the world. It's right downstairs in our building. If you can pledge $240 or $20 a month from Cowgirl Creamery in California, take it from me, the best cheese in the world, better than France or Switzerland. Cowgirl Creamery, it's great. For $360 or $30 a month for that kind of a pledge, we'll send you another treat from Cowgirl Creamery, plus a Bill Press Show mug. And if there's any way you can pledge $1,000, a very special treat for you, you make your way to Washington, and I will take you and a friend out to dinner and then invite you into the studio here to watch the show the next morning. That would be a lot of fun. Hope you can take advantage of it. But however you can help, if it's $120, $240, or $360, or the big one for $1,000, we ask you just to dig in, be as generous as you can. It's so important to keep our progressive voices on the air, to keep Free Speech TV on the air. And there's one independent television channel that has no corporate money, no government money. All of our money comes from our viewers. We work only for you. We're happy to do so, but we also depend on your help. Please be as generous as you can. Thank you.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
TV and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show. Good morning. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill Press today. Thanks so much for tuning in on your radio, on your smartphone, on your computer, either audio or video, and watching us on Free Speech TV on your dish or satellite network. Remember, you can always listen to the show on iHeartRadio, on the TuneIn app, on the Progressive Voices channel, and if you want to download our podcasts, you can do so at BillPressShow.com. We have them up there every day for you. We cut out the commercials for you and everything. You can subscribe there, buy yourself a podcast account. It's pretty cool. We give it right to you. So we've been talking a lot about Dianne Feinstein today. We're going to switch gears here in just a second, but I do want to get Robert in Chicago, Illinois, listening at WCPT. The issue here is Dianne Feinstein's accusation that the CIA, as I said, at best abused, at worst broke the law when they spied on the Senate Intelligence Committee and their staffers by hacking into their computers and seeing what was taking place in terms of oversight. What's your take on that? 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. We'll continue to take your calls, just like we're doing with Robert here in Chicago. Robert, good morning. Thank you for calling.
Good morning. Yeah, she has a problem with the CIA spying on her, but she has no problem with the NSA spying on every American. Isn't it a little hypocritical?
Yes, I think that's an excellent point, Robert.
And then she's working, and the CIA works for the president, so what does it really matter? She could call Obama and ask him why he's spying on her.
Well, yes, but look, my point in all of this is that Dianne Feinstein and members of the Senate Intelligence Committee have been given the duty to oversee and watch and maintain and keep the CIA in check, right? This is the mechanism that's been put into place to monitor and oversee their activities. And so when the CIA games the system by looking in and seeing what's being said about them by the Intelligence Committee, it certainly looks shady. I mean, I don't know. Thanks for the call, Robert. I appreciate it. We'll take more calls on this a little bit later on, but I have to get... This is, without a doubt, my favorite story of the day. I think everybody in this room is married, happily married.
Happily married.
Elisa, Alicia, Cyprian, and myself. We're all married people. This story is interesting. A groom and his bride got married a couple weeks ago. They got on their flight to Costa Rica from Atlanta. They were married in Atlanta. Got on the plane to go to Costa Rica. The groom had himself a little too much to drink.
On the way there, on the flight?
On the way there, on the plane. Which some people have to get drunk to fly.
On a plane?
No shame in that. No shame in that. I mean, I've flown with Bill several times. I mean, I have to carry him off the plane sometimes. No, I mean, so this guy got hammered. And then here's what happened. Huge fight between the bride and the groom.
Oh, no.
Like, that honeymoon did not last very long. Huge fight.
Oh, no.
So much so that he was being such a jerk and made such a commotion that the Delta Airlines aircraft had to make an emergency landing on Grand Cayman Island.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. He was yelling and shouting and being a belligerent drunk, which is never a good look.
Never.
Like, if you can't hold your alcohol, don't get that hammered in public.
On your honeymoon.
Right. Kicker. The bride says, screw you, went on to Costa Rica, did the honeymoon by herself.
Oh, my goodness.
She's there right now without him.
Oh, no.
They didn't release their names. I say, good for her. Lean in, honey. You leave that drunken son of a gun to just don't leave him there forever. I mean, have a little compassion.
I would have at least checked out the Cayman Island for a day, maybe.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. You buy into this marriage, that's fine. I'm with you through sickness and in health, not through being a drunk ass. I don't think that was in the vows. And I hope she goes and she has a wonderful time. And then, like, on the way back, she does a little detour through the Cayman to pick him up and just says, boy, oh boy, was it a great honeymoon.
Here's the bill.
How was your Cayman jail cell? Was that okay? Because my cabana was wonderful. Good for her.
Man. Yeah, good for her. That's a
right?
good thing.
I'm not off
Exactly.
base
It's
here,
your
right?
honeymoon? Definitely.
Alicia, back me up. She did the right thing, right?
Yes.
Okay, Alicia
Amen.
agrees.
Yes.
Okay. Speaking of I love women. I have all their albums. I love this story. Mike Huckabee, I won't say he stepped in it again because I don't know that he necessarily stepped in it, but he did open up a can of worms, which opens up an interesting question here. So Mike Huckabee is trying to understand what women want. And he was giving an interview where he talked about women and women candidates. And basically says that female candidates should be treated differently than male candidates. I'm going to read his quote. Okay? Just here is his entire quote. Quote from Mike Huckabee. I've twice run against women opponents, and it's a very different kind of approach. The reporter asks him, different how? He says, quote, for those of us who have some chivalry left, there's a level of respect. You treat some things as a special treasure. You treat other things as common. A male opponent is common. A woman requires a sense of pedestal. And I'm a little torn about that. I don't know how I feel about that, because I have learned in my short time on this planet, although it's not so short anymore, though. I have learned in my time on this planet, having been a married man and having been a fan of women in general, I think women are smarter than men. I think women are tougher than men. I think women can be, I don't mean to generalize, but they can be more savvy than men. But I was raised in the South, just like Mike Huckabee, and there is still this notion of chivalry. And I'm a little torn on this idea about running against a female opponent. So how is it that you should sort of give this sense of pedestal, putting this woman up on a pedestal, and run against them differently? Because my take is, if you're going to run for an office and you're going to serve all people, then, it's kind of fair game. You're running against an opponent. But, women process things differently than men, and I hear some of the logic in what Mike Huckabee is saying, but I tend to treat women the same that I treat men. But it is a conflict of mine, to be perfectly honest. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number. I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this. Should women be treated differently than men if they're running for elected office? Just look at last night in Florida in the special election. There was a female Democrat, Alex Sink, running against a man by the name of David Jolly. He certainly pulled no punches, and he won. So Mike Huckabee's argument that if you're running against a woman, it requires a sense of pedestal and sort of being a little more polite and being a little nicer and being mindful of them, I think is interesting. I don't, I hear where he's coming from, but I don't necessarily agree with him. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number. Ladies get to the front of the line if you call, by the way. That's the rule. Alicia, if a lady calls, she goes to the front of the line. Because I'm a gentleman, damn it. 42 minutes past the hour. 866-55-PRESS. 866-557-7377. Mike Huckabee says yes, women should be treated differently than men when they're running for political office. Your turn to weigh in. 866-557-7377. Peter Ogburn in for Bill Press.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help, because we wouldn't be here without you. It's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it? Well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start at the end of every show. The first thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out and all day long, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month. We will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month. From Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery for $360 or $30 a month. You'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those of you able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
I come from this from a position of genuine curiosity. I'm not here to, say, oh, Mike Huckabee's wrong, or oh, Mike Huckabee's right. I don't know. I am conflicted. I like to consider myself a forward-thinking type of person, but I also was raised in the South. I opened doors for women, which got me yelled at one time, by the way.
No way.
Yeah. I can hold my own door. I can open my own door. Which, that's her right to feel that way. I mean, I didn't mean to say, oh, hey, little lady, you can't open the door for yourself. That's just how I was raised. My name is Peter Ogburn. I'm sitting in for Bill Press today. And Mike Huckabee said that female candidates require a sense of pedestal, meaning that he thinks that women should be treated a little bit differently when they're running for office if you're running against them as a man. And my question to you is he right? 866-55-PRESS. 866-557-7377. Colleen in Madison, Wisconsin. Madison showing up strong today. Hi, Colleen.
Hi.
By the way, I should mention that ladies go to the front of the line when they when they call in today. So
sorry, Joe, you got to hang on.
Yeah, hang on, man. Colleen, thank you so much for calling, my dear.
No problem. You do not have to put me at the front of the line unless I'm the first caller.
See, now I feel like a jerk again. Now I feel like a jerk for being nice.
I guess the next thing I would expect out of his mouth is, "Oh, isn't that cute? She's running for office." No, women should not be treated differently because they're running for office. How do you do that without being condescending?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I genuinely think that once you get into the political arena, right, you are on a level playing field with whoever else you're running against.
She knows what she's, in for if she's running for office.
What's
Anybody does. She knows what she's in for if she's running for office.
And look, I certainly think it's a lot harder for a woman to run for office than a man.
Well, and it's because of those attitudes.
Okay. No, look, I don't disagree. I'm asking for your genuine take because I'm curious.
Well, I think the only time that a woman is really in a compromising position and holding the doors and just deserves any special treatment is when she's 9 months pregnant, and or has one on the hip and one in the arm. Then I think we can all agree that we would defer to the need to treat her a little differently, but certainly not in the situation of running for office.
I would open the door for you, Colleen. Were I to meet you, I would open the door for you. I'm a gentleman. I'm a gentleman.
I get that.
Thank you, Colleen. I appreciate the call. Let's go to Chicago. Veronica. Thanks for calling.
Peter.
Hi, my dear. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. In fact, I'm commuting through 4 inches of snow because my husband stays home to take care of our 4 kids.
Oh, I like it. All right.
So I'll just tell you this. There should be no special treatment for any opponents in a political race. There should just be a fair race. And by fair race, when there's a woman opponent, one should not criticize her apparel, her hair, the way she looks, her perhaps needing to be home with her family at different times, because frankly, we don't have the same comparisons for male opponents.
Well, let me just play devil's advocate a little bit, okay? Because I'm just going to read from Huckabee's statement. When he was pressed on how women should be treated differently, he said, quote, "For those of us who have some chivalry left, there's a level of respect. You treat some things as a special treasure, you treat other things as common, and a male opponent is common." So, in other words, you can sort of get into a heated debate with a male opponent, and that would be okay in the eyes of Mike Huckabee. But a heated, raised tone towards a woman is not respectful and certainly not chivalrous, is his argument. That's where he's coming from.
My argument is that it's not polite to yell at anyone.
Okay.
And that if you have a valid point, you can state it in a normal tone of voice. All right? So I think anyone who shouts at his opponent is a disrespectful human being.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect answer. And look, I would put Hillary Clinton, Elizabeth Warren, any of these other strong female candidates on a national stage out there, and I certainly think they could hold their own in an argument or in a conversation against a male opponent.
Bill O'Reilly should sit up and take notice that female heads of state are taken seriously all around this world. Why not here in the U.S.?
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for the call. Let's go to Joe in Chicago, Illinois. Joe, why are you calling? I'm talking to all these women. What do you want?
Well, because I think all men are created equal with certain inalienable rights. Do I need to continue? I think I'm going to be consistent. I don't agree with Mike Huckabee about anything, and I don't agree with him about this.
Okay.
Can you read that line again? He said about a level of respect. Can you just read that real quickly?
This is his quote. "For those of us who have some chivalry left, there's a level of respect. You treat some things as a special treasure. You treat other things as common, and a male opponent is common."
And so when we treat the woman differently than the man because she's a woman, that's disrespectful. That is not respectful. It's disrespectful to the woman, and it's disrespectful to yourself. Really?
I think that is a smart take, and that is the consensus that I'm getting from a lot of the women who called in. Let's take one more call here from Sarah in Mills River, North Carolina. I like it. It's a Southern woman. So, Sarah, thanks for calling in. What's your take on this?
Well, my take on it, and I'm from North Carolina, keep in mind here, we're a little different.
Yes, ma'am. You're the refined cousin from up north to where I grew up. So.
There you go. I believe in treating everybody with respect.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't require anything special. It's nice when I get it, but I don't require it. But don't screw me over. Basically, if you're going to play dirty, I'm likely to get down there and play dirty right there with you.
That's what I'm
likely to know it.
That's what I wanted to hear. What I wanted to hear, because I know that like a lot of people have said like, oh, if you're going to yell, then you've already lost the conversation. If you're going to play dirty, then you've already. But like this is politics. People are going to yell and people are going to play dirty.
Right.
And if you have a female candidate, or if you are a female candidate who can give it right back, God bless you.
Oh, it's the truth. I'm sorry, but that's just the way I roll.
I like it. I like the way you roll. Thank you so much, Sarah, for the call, and all the other people that called in on that topic. We might talk about that a little bit later on in the show. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill Press today. Really quick break. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help because we wouldn't be here without you. You know, it's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it? You know, well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start at the end of every show. The first thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out and all day long, you know, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and say and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So, you know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month. We will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month. From Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery. For $360 or $30 a month, you'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those who are able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show. Peter Ogburn in for Bill Press today. Really quick look at what the president is up to. 9:30 today is the pool call time. So at 10 o'clock, the president, vice president receive the presidential daily briefing, as they do just about every morning. About 2:45, the president holds a bilat meeting with Prime Minister of Ukraine. Biden will also be there. That's not going to be very long, because at 4:15, the president's going to drop by a meeting with women members of Congress in the Roosevelt Room. That's at 4:15, with a briefing by Jay Carney at 1 o'clock. Bill should be at that briefing, by the way, so make sure you're following him on Twitter at BP Show. He always tweets live from the briefing. Stay tuned. More show coming up next.
This is the Bill Press Show. broadcasting around the nation on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show. Good morning. It is Wednesday, March 12. Clearly, I am not Bill Press. I am Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill Press today. Thank you all so very much for tuning in on either your iHeartRadio or TuneIn app or on your fine progressive radio station in your area or streaming live video on YouTube. You can check out the link. Just follow us on Twitter at BP Show. We've got the link right there for you. You can also follow me on Twitter at Peter Ogburn, where I'm sending out links as we talk all throughout the show. As much stuff as I can, by the way. I mean, I got my hands full. What do you want? What do you want from me?
You're quite the multitasker, I will say.
Do what I can. Good morning to Elisa Murphy there, running the board. Good morning.
Good morning.
Screening your calls. If you call 866-55-PRESS, you will be lucky enough to talk to the one and only Alicia Cruz. And if you are watching the video stream today, you can thank Cyprian Bolding for that. He is our video operator, keeping us live on TV, on your computer screen, on your tablet or iPhone or whatever you're watching on. By the way, I find this story to be amazing. By the way, Bill's going to be back tomorrow. So thanks everyone for your concern. When will Bill be back? It's tomorrow. I know we've got a lot of questions about that. It's going to be tomorrow. Thank you. Thanks. I feel very wanted. I find this story fascinating. Shaquille O'Neal is like one of my favorite people ever, right?
Shaq Diesel. He, for whatever reason, he was at South by Southwest. He said he spends about $1,000 on apps every week. That is a serious addiction.
iPad. He spends $1,000.
Because they're cheap. I don't know any really expensive apps.
I don't know. Here, this is a quote. Honestly, I probably spend $1,000 on apps a week. Real money. Last week, I bought like 20 Deer Hunter games.
What?
If that's not the best.
Deer Hunter games.
He added, when I'm not working, I spend all my money on apps. It's an interview he gave to the Wall Street Journal when he was in South by Southwest.
That is an odd story.
Is that not the best? Shaq is like hands down my favorite athlete of all time, just because he's awesome.
I liked him on the Lakers back in the day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
True story. A guy that I play basketball, because I'm on like an old guys league. Right?
Well, and you're a coach, too.
How many times?
You're a renowned coach.
We're getting there. I'm coaching my kids' team. Hang on, let me see if my wife is online. No, she's not. All right, so I can talk about this. So, no, it's nothing about her. Cyprian knows. Uh-oh. I coach my kids' basketball team. They're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a bunch of 9-year-olds. What are you going to do? But I am that coach that might be a little too intense.
Just a little intense?
Like, all my kids have played soccer, and I kind of like, get out there and do it. I mean, it's soccer. What are you going to win? You're going to win some orange slices and some Gatorade at the end of the game.
Yeah, it's just the most international sport ever, but,
Yeah, but like
have your
here,
Capri Sun.
Everybody loses interest after kindergarten. Or third grade, let's say. So I've got a bunch of third graders that I'm teaching basketball. And it's going okay. I'm tough on them, man. I'm tough on them.
Is there a championship in their future?
No, of course not. But there's not even a real opportunity for a championship. It's like, it's this little inter-gym league that they play on.
Yeah. Where they're born, though.
We haven't had our first official game. We've been running scrimmages.
Okay.
But I got my eyes on my starting five. My kid's not one of them.
Oh no! I was gonna ask.
I don't know how to manage that.
Uh-oh. You need extra practice time with him.
I have to make the Spirit Award or something. Everybody wins at this age. Okay. God, can we delete this? So when my child grows up, and he's like, "Hey, what did Dad do before he left the planet Earth?" Like after I'm dead and gone, my kids go to like look up what I did, and there's me talking about how he. Yeah.
The Chronicles.
He's good, but I got a starting 5 in mind. That's all I'm saying. All right, let me get out of this. BuzzFeed's White House reporter Evan McMorris-Santoro is joining us on the phone. You can follow him, and I highly suggest you follow him on Twitter at Evan McSan. Evan McSans, lots of hashtag analysis from Evan there. You can also read his good work at BuzzFeed.com. Evan, good morning.
Good morning. How do I follow up you scarring your child for life? I'm not really sure.
You're going to have to help bail me out. I mean, can we just delete? We're just going to delete this show.
Where's Bill?
We're going to delete this show. Like, it's just, let's never speak of this again. Ever. I'm sorry. Look, if he does find the tape, listen, hang on. Let me just get this out of the way. I'm very sorry. We loved you very much. And you had a lot of other talents besides basketball. Okay? See? So there. I think I just made up for it. Okay, Evan, it was a little over 24 hours ago that the president appeared on the Funny or Die website, the Between Two Ferns video, which when I read that he was going to do this, I was stunned because it is a very awkward setting for an interview. And I think the president did a pretty good job with it. If I could play one of the clips, Lisa, play one of them, whichever one you think is best.
I have to know, what is it like to be the last black president?
Seriously? What's it like for this to be the last time you ever talked to a president?
That was the first question that I sort of cringed a little bit. But how'd the president do?
I think that the results of the comedy aspect are sort of that's up for anybody's own analysis. Some people think that he did pretty good. Some people think it came off kind of stilted, like he was reading cue cards. I generally think that for a president of the United States, he came off pretty good.
Yeah,
I thought it was overall pretty good performance. There were a couple of actual laugh out loud moments. I mean, shortly after it came out, there was a big debate sort of on the right wing in my Twitter feed about whether or not to slam him for doing this Between Two Ferns appearance. And it seemed that in the end, the decision was made not to attack him for it really, but kind of just sort of say, well, it's just kind of cheesy, and it shows that he's desperate to get people to go to healthcare.gov. But no one's really attacking him on the comedy side. I think the comedy side, I think he did okay, but people have different views on that. In terms of a policy move, it seems to have been a pretty rousing success. I mean, we spent the whole day talking about healthcare.gov. The HHS told me right before I got on the phone with you, a little breaking news, that there was a 40% spike in traffic to the healthcare.gov website Tuesday over Monday, suggesting that Between Two Ferns is really, really successful way to get people to go to check out the healthcare website. So it seems to be pretty much all around it worked out well. It comes on the heels of sort of larger problems he's dealing with healthcare enrollment, period. This is sort of like one of the rare, really good days they've had on this. A buzzy thing, gets a lot of positive press, gets people to go to the website. So,
it's incredible because, any of us who cover this, we've talked about healthcare.gov for so long, and to think that there's someone out there who hadn't checked it out yet, I don't know, maybe it's just my own admission that I sometimes maybe live in a bubble a little bit, but to think that there are people out there who hadn't heard of it or checked it out, that had an interest in checking it out, that going on the Zach Galifianakis fake internet talk show would drive that much traffic is kind of amazing.
Well, one thing about checking it out is that the White House has said right along, the administration said right along, that they believe that the March 31st enrollment window deadline, when that closes, that's going to be a big driver of people. That people, it's like April 15th, right? No one does their taxes till the last possible second.
Right.
They're thinking that people are going to not go to the website until the last possible second. And we're into the last 20 days, and they're trying to get people to go to the website now, so to try to prevent site problems at the last weekend, where they're afraid people are going to go on and shut the site down. And anecdotally, I will say this. Anecdotally, I was out last night with an unnamed but very competent D.C. reporter who needs to go get healthcare coverage, and she has not gone to the website yet. She checked it out, and she found out, and she said, "Oh yeah, I just found out I have an extra 15 days, so I'm just going to wait on that." so that's somebody who's pretty plugged in. So it's probably not a flawed logic that people haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Did they give any kind of idea of how many people actually signed up yesterday after the video came out?
No, they haven't said that yet. What they have said is that they had a big spike in referral traffic from the Funny or Die site, and then a bunch of traffic to the site. 890,000 visits, which again is 40% over what they usually have or what they had on Monday. They did release numbers yesterday showing that about 4.2 million people have signed up for healthcare at this point, and that is another. That's sort of like that's the cloud around the silver lining up between two ferns yesterday, because that number is lower than the White House wants it to be, than the administration wants it to be. They were talking just a couple months ago about trying to get 7 million people into healthcare coverage by the end of the first enrollment period, and that appears a pretty impossible goal with only 4.2 million signed up so far.
So that's we'll see where that goes, especially after the big the Galifianakis spike.
Yeah,
once
the
that
Galifianakis bump.
Yeah, the bump.
Let me tell you about this. Can I say just a little bit of journalism behind the scenes? There was not and I have a long, complicated last name, and I'm also from North Carolina. So like Jack Galifianakis, I have a lot of ties to him because he has a long, complicated last name, and he's from North Carolina.
Yeah.
I could not write his name yesterday once without Googling it first. That is a very difficult name.
Yeah.
So.
What I love, by the way, is everybody that was pointing to his Twitter account, and he's got like 1 million followers, hasn't tweeted anything of substance. He just tweets out music videos that he likes. And apparently it's actually him. But first of all, to even think that you could spell his name to get to his Twitter account is a feat among itself. But then, once you get there, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, there's not a lot there, not a lot of content there. So let's switch gears in the time that we have left. I want to ask you about Dianne Feinstein yesterday, sort of leveling some allegations against the CIA, saying that at best they abused the law, at worst they broke the law. Harry Reid sort of joined into that, and that great liberal Lindsey Graham also joining in for his into that argument, saying that if the CIA did what she's alleging, then heads should roll. Jay Carney yesterday saying that John Brennan has the support of the White House for now. Where does this play out, and how does the White House factor into it?
Well, it's a little bit early to tell what the White House was exactly going to do. They were sort of defending John Brennan yesterday. This is a really big story, actually. This is one of those things that just sort of popped up yesterday, and is actually like a very, very big story. It's the idea of the CIA snooping on a congressional internet, a congressional computer network, to sort of, in a sort of CYA kind of fashion, that's a pretty big deal. And Feinstein is just one of the most staunch supporters of the American intelligence community that they have on Capitol Hill. She was right out front defending them after the Snowden stuff. Mm-hmm. She's been right out front defending them on a lot of stuff. And to have her come out and be as strong against the CIA as she was, she has a lot of credibility on this issue, and it's a big blow, I think, to the intelligence side of things. The White House is clearly worried about it. My colleague John Stanton and I reported last night that sort of like right after Feinstein walked off the Senate floor after giving her speech about the CIA, Dennis McDonough, the White House Chief of Staff, who had been hastily dispatched to the Capitol Hill, was like waiting for her as she walked off the floor.
That's amazing.
To talk to her, like, hi, how are you?
Hey, it was in the neighborhood. Thought I'd say hello.
Right, that kind of awkward thing. So I hear you've been spied on. I brought a bunch of cake. So there are a lot more questions about that will come up today. It's something that we're going to hear a lot more about. It's just sort of getting started. Brennan, as I said, like the CIA director has pushed back really hard on the allegations, saying it never happened. Politico has some documents this morning they published that sort of get into this a little bit more. We're at the front end of this, but really, I think the big news is Dianne Feinstein is joining sort of the bandwagon of people who are very, very skeptical of the CIA, and that is a big, big political shift in Washington, and a potentially big, big deal if you're in the intelligence community.
All right, good stuff. Evan McMorris-Santoro, Buzzfeed's White House reporter. Thanks so much for joining us, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. About $10,000 worth of apps.
Yeah, go get to work. Follow him on Twitter, a must follow, at Evan McSann, and read his work online at Buzzfeed.com. Buzzfeed has an app too, and you know what? It doesn't cost $1,000 a week. It's free. It don't cost nothing. All right, it's Peter Ogburn in for Bill Press. Gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show. Broadcasting on Free Speech TV and online on Talker TV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Yes, it is the Bill Press Show. Good morning, and thank you for tuning in. Clearly, I am not Bill Press. My name is Peter Ogburn. I will be here with you for about 34 more minutes today, and then Bill will be back tomorrow. You like that?
Yeah, thank you. I really
Canadian
like that.
inflection on that.
Perfect.
Tomorrow. Hey, I mentioned yesterday that my new favorite show is this Cosmos on Fox with Neil deGrasse Tyson, smartest man alive today, if you ask me. It's a great show. It's all about science. It's great. Watch it with my kids. It's a new Monday night tradition, right? Because it comes on Sunday nights on Fox. We watch it on Monday.
Ogburn family traditions.
That's it. You got it. He was on Stephen Colbert last night, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he was talking about Cosmos. And you remember this was a show that was originally started by Carl Sagan, and Colbert asked him what Carl Sagan would have thought about today's version.
What do you think would have surprised Carl Sagan most about what has changed in our knowledge of the universe since his death in, is it 96?
1996.
In 96.
I think what would surprise him the most is that we still have to argue that science is something important in society. That's what would surprise him the most. For starters. Now, scientifically, I think he'd find the idea of the multiverse pretty cool.
Well, the idea of the multiverse is cool.
It's cool.
But so is the idea of the Force. You know,
I do like that. And I do love that was a big part of the show, is it was just kind of like, science is science. Facts are facts. Like, we're not going to give a lot of time to creationism or any of that stuff. It's just like, this is how it is. Earlier this week, we had Travis Waldron in studio. And he told me on the way out the door he had a story coming out that he wanted to that he wasn't quite ready, but it came out yesterday afternoon after we went off the air. So it turns out Roger Goodell, commissioner of the NFL, actually discussed the name change of our football team, the Washington football team, sat down with Senator Maria Cantwell from Washington and talked about how to change the name, what they might be able to do to change the name, and some of the concerns that Maria Cantwell had. So you might not like the name change, but you should probably get used to the idea of a name change because it's being taken seriously by members of Congress and the commissioner of the NFL. It's Peter Ogburn in for Bill Press. Be right back.
It's the Bill Press Show. Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is The Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill Press today, 33 minutes past the hour, just a few moments left in the show, about half an hour. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching the show, listening to the show, however you're able to get a hold of us. We're just glad you're there. Taking your calls at 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. And joining us in studio from The Hill, Justin Sink. You can follow him at JTS The Hill and read his work at thehill.com online. Justin, good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming in. Let's start with this Between Two Ferns video. Because it was like, it came out a little over 24 hours ago. We've talked about it a lot. We played some of the audio, but I can't get enough of the audio because it's just so weird.
It was probably the favorite thing that I've ever woken up and had to write at 7 a.m.
Right?
Zach Galifianakis interviewing the president.
When I saw it, I said, no, that's not. That's not that like that. It's gonna be not Obama, or like we're totally getting Kimmel or something here. Like it's not gonna. But it was actually the president of the United States. It was actually doing a very bizarre interview with Zach Galifianakis.
I think the best part was that he really bought into the conceit of the whole bit. You know, it wouldn't have worked if Obama tried to stay very presidential and very serious, but instead he really got into the spirit of it and kind of, really attacked Galifianakis, took some shots back, and it was a lot of fun.
And it also wouldn't have worked if Galifianakis had sort of pulled punches and given a layup of an interview. Here's one of the questions that sort of struck me as as something you won't hear every day.
You said if you had a son, you would not let him play football. What makes you think that he would want to play football? What if he was a nerd like you?
Do you think a woman like Michelle would marry a nerd? Why don't you ask her whether she thinks I'm a nerd?
Could I?
No, I'm not going to let her near you.
Like he just did such a good job playing with the back and forth. Hey, do you have the last black president clip too? Because this was, I think, the first question that really threw me.
I have to know, what is it like to be the last black president?
Seriously? What's it like for this to be the last time you ever talked to a president?
Oh, it's just so good.
And what's been amazing is it's really worked for the White House. They were the Department of Health and Human Services was tweeting out this morning that traffic was up, I think something like 40% onto healthcare.gov.
40%.
Yeah. And Funny or Die, the website where this Between Two Ferns series is hosted, was the number one kind of refer of traffic to healthcare.gov yesterday. And so this is a big thing for the Obama administration. We saw numbers come out yesterday. 4.2 million people had signed up for Obamacare, but they hadn't improved on the 25% of sort of millennials, 18 to 34-year-olds, that they really are targeting and need, for Obamacare to be a big success. And so this is something that the White House has kind of said explicitly. We want to reach out to this audience that might not be watching the nightly news, might not be reading the newspaper, but this is a way to get to them.
I'd say the average viral video gets 3-4 million views, something like that.
They were saying the average of these Funny or Die videos gets 6 million just for the random celebrity interview, Justin Bieber or whoever, and Carney kind of boldly predicted yesterday they're going to blow past that number, and so as
of now. It currently sits at 11.2 million views on Funny or Die.
It was a safe bet, I guess.
Yeah,
we're almost double that.
Hey, we're almost double of the most popular one there. I mentioned to Evan, I just am kind of stunned that many people hadn't thought to go or hadn't heard of or hadn't put it together I should maybe go to healthcare.gov. And this is the outlet that makes you go there.
I've been really surprised by that too, especially among young people. This is a personal anecdote, and of course we get into these, but I had a friend of mine who was very sick all through high school, all through college. Actually had to drop out of college because his health problems were so bad. Living on his own now, has an hourly part-time job, was without health care for months and months. And back when we got to the Obamacare deadline, a few months ago, I was talking to him on the phone. I'm like, you've you've investigated this, right? Because you've been complaining for a year and a half about how you're really sick and don't have health care. And he's like, oh, you can go and sign. And I was just like, at that point, if this kid doesn't know that you can go and sign up for Obamacare, and it's really, I've been really kind of surprised that they've been unable to hit it. And I think a big part of that actually is obviously the kind of botched and failed rollout at the beginning hurt them, not just because people who wanted the service couldn't log on, but it made the White House very adverse to talking about, doing something like going on Funny or Die, doing something like going on the late night television shows, kind of ramping up these marketing efforts. And we've heard this also from Latino groups like NCLR and some African American advocacy groups that have said, well, we wanted to go out and reach out to our constituencies. We wanted to rally them, but the website just wasn't working for the first couple months. And so now we're really trying to play catch up, and we're pretty far behind.
39 minutes past the hour. Justin Sink from The Hill is in studio. Follow him on Twitter at JTS The Hill. Read his stuff on thehill.com. This morning, I've been watching some of the TV channels. They've been talking a lot about the latest approval ratings for the president. What are we seeing? What's the latest, and how's he doing?
So we had 2 polls come out last night, and they kind of tell very different stories, although there are some themes that you can kind of weave together and I think are interesting. So one was an NBC Wall Street Journal poll that showed the president down at 41% approval rating. That's a historic low for him. It's close to George Bush's historic low in their poll, and so that's painting kind of a really dire picture for the White House. Mm-hmm. The other poll that came out was a Bloomberg poll that showed the president approval rating at 48%. Even with his disapproval rating, a huge rebound from a couple months ago, right after that botched Obamacare launch. And so Bloomberg's kind of telling the story of the president's back. He's kind of got his mojo back. What's interesting is he continues to sort of falter in both polls on a range of policy issues, but both polls also show that voters widely support his pushes on unemployment, insurance benefits, on raising the minimum wage. And so that shows some area for Democrats to regain in the polls, certainly coming up. And what was interesting, actually, it broke last night, was the White House is now doing a new push on overtime for employees. They're going to use their regulatory abilities to sort of force companies to pay a lot of workers, like managers at fast food restaurants or at retail outlets, overtime pay. That's something that could really kind of rally support, feed into the president's populist message, and give them some ammunition going into the midterms.
Let's talk about that for a second on this overtime pay, because I think that some people were apprehensive of the idea of running on Obamacare. So you're right. This gives them something else to run on. How is that going to play sort of around the country on these races?
Well, the interesting thing is how they counterpunch. So obviously the White House has laid out unemployment, overtime, minimum wage. These are all very popular ideas, things that people say they widely support. The problem is that that's when they're asked the question in a vacuum. Then when people are asked the question, well, if we increase the minimum wage, it means that we could lose jobs. The CBO reports at 500,000 jobs. The business community is very much going to come out against these changes to the overtime rules, and so we're going to expect kind of a big lobbying effort on their behalf and warnings that it'll increase prices and lead to job loss and those sorts of things. So as those sort of negative sides of things are brought up by Republicans, Democrats are going to have to find a way to sort of counterpunch, to sort of get around those. And that, I think, will hinge on really hinge the question of whether Democrats can change the narrative from this being a referendum on Obamacare to sort of the vision of kind of a contrasting economic platform, which is what they want to bring up this year.
One of the races that kicked off the season last night, depends on who you ask, was a referendum on Obamacare. I don't know that this was a referendum on Obamacare because neither one of them voted for it. But in Florida, the Republican David Jolly defeated the Democrat Alex Sink quite handily. Has the White House chimed in on this, and what's their take on it now?
So the White House hasn't weighed in officially yet. The results came in last night. President Obama was at a fundraiser up in New York just as the results were coming in, and he didn't mention it in his remarks. It's not clear whether he knew about it when he came out or not. I was most interested in this race because Alex Sink, while also a female Democratic candidate in Florida, is also the name of my brother, and so she's just been driving his name.
I didn't even put that together.
I know.
I didn't put that together.
She's been driving his name out of Google, so all the trouble he got into in college is now just completely wiped out. Yeah. But he might be back on the hook now that she didn't prevail.
That's right.
But
that could add instant credibility to like a future job offer.
Yeah.
Just don't mention that you weren't the Alex Sink that ran, but just let them say like, they Google Alex Sink. Oh, okay.
There's a lot of results here. But what Democrats are certainly saying after last night is this is a seat that's been held by Republicans for decades. Yeah. She got very close she was maybe 2 or 3 points back. She had the early lead. And so, they're trying to spin it as kind of a positive. Sure. Republicans are obviously crowing and saying this is kind of a harbinger of what's to come and what the midterm elections could look like.
We will see. All right, we need to take a quick break. Writer for The Hill, Justin Sink, is in studio. Follow him on Twitter at JTSTheHill and online at thehill.com. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill. You can follow me at Peter Ogburn. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show. on your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is The Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill Press today. The Hill's Justin Sink is in studio with us. Follow him on Twitter at JTSTheHill. Quick housekeeping thing. Josh Mathis, who tweeted at us, said, "It's amazing that Peter thinks Between Two Ferns was not a pre-written script. Are you kidding me?" I mean, I know it was a relatively pre-written script, but Jake Carney said that there were some ad-libs. And even if it was a pre-written script, it was well delivered, well done, and you don't have to necessarily buy into it the way that the president did. So, come on. Give me a break. During the break, we were talking about this story of the killer cat. Have you seen this?
I've only heard about it. I haven't actually, so I'm very excited.
We have the audio.
Okay.
Because what happened is there's this family. They have a 7-month-old, and the 7-month-old goes to the family cat, who's a 22-pound cat, by the way. So it's basically Garfield. The cat's eating lasagna and hates raisins.
It sounds like a small lion or tiger, not even a cat at that point. Yeah.
So basically, this family has this pet jaguar, and this cat, the kid pulls on the cat's tail, and the cat gets angry and starts going berserk. So the family grabs the kid. They go to the dad kicks the cat.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, which at this point you're kind of asking for it a little bit. But then they go to the bedroom and lock themselves in, and the cat won't let them leave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, you gotta. I grew up in a household with cats, and if you accidentally step on them, sometimes you're in for some punishment.
Yeah. Yes. So what their solution was they called 911. They called 911, and here's what that sounded like.
He's charging us. He's at our door, bedroom door.
1 moment, okay?
You hear the cat.
I hear him. Hold on. Keep your door shut, okay?
And that's loud if that's through the door and you're hearing it.
Can you get just the cat yell again? Listen.
1 moment, okay?
I love it, man.
So did the police show up? I mean,
the police came. The police came. They had one of those harnesses, on a pole. You know?
What you use for a gator down in Florida.
Exactly. They went after it like a gator, and they got the cat. Apparently, the cat's fine. He's chilled out.
All right,
everything's good. But he's charging at us. Our house cat. He's charging at us like it's a rhino.
It seems like the absolute use for emergency services that we need. Yeah.
911. That's the best thing for you to do. Don't wait for the cat to calm down.
My favorite part is there's a reporter somewhere who's just been listening to horrible 911 calls, through Freedom of Information Act request or something, and then just hears it's charging that up.
We struck gold.
Yeah.
We've got it. Okay, so on to other content, more in the news today. So yesterday, Dianne Feinstein sort of really throwing some allegations out there against the CIA. As I've put it, at best, she said that they abused the law. At worst, she said they broke the law on their spying on the Senate Intelligence Committee. This is, I think, a big deal. I think this is a thing that Americans are kind of like, okay, so the people that we have in terms of the judge and jury to oversee what the CIA is doing, they're now spying on them. It seems kind of messed up.
It's a very complicated issue, and it doesn't really kind of fall on normal partisan lines because you've got Senate Democrats and Dianne Feinstein, who's been one of the biggest supporters of the Obama administration and the intelligence community, especially through kind of this NSA controversy, really going after the CIA, who was allegedly covering up activities that took place during the Bush administration that President Obama opposed. And so it's a complicated web. It's unclear, how this either surveillance or removal of documents from computers that were given to these Senate staffers worked, what the conditions were, whether there was a whistleblower involved. And so for, the White House, there's going to be a lot of hard questions. For the CIA, there's going to be a lot of hard questions, and it's really unclear when we're going to get more certainty. But I know it's something that pretty much everybody in Washington on both sides is digging into right now.
I'm fascinated by the fact that Dianne Feinstein, Harry Reid, and that great liberal Lindsey Graham all joined forces yesterday to kind of say, like, hey, if this is the case, the CIA really sort of stepped in it. John Brennan yesterday saying that if he did anything wrong, he'll certainly report to the president and he'll have to answer for it, which I don't know. I'm not sure I trust him to hold himself accountable, but we'll see what happens.
He gave a very interesting and specific denial during an interview with Andrea Mitchell yesterday afternoon. He said, the CIA didn't hack into any of these computers. And the problem is that wasn't really what was alleged. I mean, it was a kind of shorthand for what happened, but this was a server that was kind of maintained by the CIA for congressional investigators, and so there's surveillance that could have happened. There's the removal of documents that could have happened because they theoretically had access. They created this system, and so it's going to be really interesting as kind of the layers of the onions get peeled back here.
We'll see what happens. Thanks so much for joining us. Justin Sink from The Hill on Twitter at JTS The Hill and online at thehill.com. I appreciate you coming in, man.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to you again soon. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill Press. Quick break. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show. Seen on Free Speech TV and online on Talker TV. This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show live for about a minute. By the way, Bill will be back tomorrow. Thank you all very much for your constructive criticism of my filling in. Bill, like I said, Bill will be back tomorrow. I'll be over in that chair, so you'll still be able to tell me how much I suck. I appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter at Peter Ogburn, OGBURN, and follow the show on Twitter at Peter Ogburn. Like I said, President's got a very interesting day. He's going to be some bilateral meetings with the Prime Minister of Ukraine with Joe Biden later on today. And we'll be right here to cover that, tell you all the latest. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, we'll be back tomorrow.
This is the Bill Press Show.